Hi everyone, welcome to the January garden tour. The winter garden looks a ton different from the summer garden, and I know a lot of you are under cold and snow, so I want to invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy walking around in the garden with me. Let's go. Well, the January winter garden looks a whole lot different here in Southern California than the summer garden. You notice all the bare trellises, the tomatoes, the cucumbers have all come down, and I planted a whole lot more cool weather veggies, which I can't wait to show you as we walk around the garden. But something new that I'm using now is HoseLink retractable hose. I'm loving it. They are actually sponsoring this garden tour. Thank you so much, HoseLink. We're going to share a little bit more about this later in the video. So let's go walk around a little more. Let's start off up here by the kitchen herb garden. I absolutely love growing my own fresh herbs. I hope you do too, but it's really fun to grow them as close as you can to your house because it makes it so easy just to pop out here and grab some herbs to put in your recipes. Now, we've had a lot of wind lately, so things have just been kind of getting battered around, but the herb garden has actually done pretty well. It's sheltered here by this raised bed, and I planted some new ones that I'm super excited about. This one here is called fennel. So I know a lot of you have tried fennel. This one is a new herb to me. I'm actually thinking about carrying these seeds in my herb garden seed collection, so let me know if that's something that interests you. But fennel has such a beautiful aroma, beautiful feathery leaves, and it's used a lot. You can use the fennel seeds like to make your own Italian sausage, so I am really excited to try that. I also popped some herbs here in these Smart Pots hanging baskets. So this is parsley, actually this is cilantro and parsley over here. So don't just grow flowers in hanging baskets, think outside the box, pop some herbs and mix them in with the flowers to make a really beautiful hanging basket presentation. It's really fun to look out my window and see these. So let me know how you like to grow your herbs, but definitely grow them next to your house. This is some rosemary, and the rosemary is getting attacked by some spider mites. But no worries with rosemary. What you can do is just cut it off if it gets kind of buggy or starts to not look so good. So this one definitely needs pruned, and then it will grow back with nice new growth. Now, one thing that I did too is I trimmed or totally pruned back the thyme, and it looked totally woody at first, but look, tons and tons of new growth. So rosemary and thyme are great perennial herbs, super, super hardy, that grow really well in southern gardens in the wintertime. And a lot of times in the northern gardens, they will grow back the following year too. So one thing that I also pruned back over the winter time here are the strawberries. Strawberries are also a perennial, and some of them are just starting to pop out again. Some little flowers here, little strawberries. And as the weather warms up, they're gonna start to grow even more and will cascade over this raised bed, which will be so, so pretty. So also been planting tons and tons of seeds. Back here along the back of the garden bed, I planted my red flower seed collection, which is brand new. And I also planted some dill, and it's all starting to pop up back in here. I don't get a ton of sun in my winter garden, so sometimes things take a little bit longer to get going, but it's always fun to see those little seedlings pop through, don't you think? One thing I always focus on in the winter here in Southern California is planting as many cool weather seeds outside as I can. We've had some rain, and that just really helps make my job easier, soaks those seeds in, and really helps them pop up. Now, I totally missed the sunflowers of last summer. You guys remember that? But regarding seeds, what I've been doing is just throwing down wildflower seeds. And I've been planting my new red wildflowers, which are in my new red flower seed collection, all up and down this hill. Some of them are just starting to pop up, so I'm getting a little bit impatient with this. But you know what? Patience is a really important thing you can learn while gardening, because waiting is definitely the hardest part, and I definitely need some work on that. But it'll be really fun as the spring and summer rolls around to see this fence line covered with gorgeous, gorgeous red flowers. It's my favorite color. So you can make sure you go over and grab one of those red flower seed collections. Brand new, just launched this week. Grow red along with me. I know you guys are gonna love it. I've also been planting a lot of flowers to really attract the bees. Salvia is a gorgeous flower that the bees absolutely love. And this corner I think here looks just so, so pretty. Got the purple salvia, got some chamomile, which is an herb, so it'll kind of spill over this raised bed. It just looks so, so pretty. It's such delicate, beautiful, tiny little flowers. And then the chrysanthemums. You really can't go wrong with chrysanthemums. So in southern climates, get those flowers out there. Get the bees and the pollinators coming in. your garden, your vegetable garden will thank you later as they start to grow more vegetables. One thing we've been having such an issue with, you guys, is the squirrels just pulling out my seedlings as they grow. It's so frustrating. So right in here, I think I've planted peas in here several times. Every time they start to come up, the squirrels or maybe the birds kind of pick off the seedlings. Can you see that right there? The top of the seedling is just totally chewed off. So we're kind of struggling just a little bit with that. In fact, this one here, look at that seedling, top, just completely chowed off. So the trellises are a little bit bare, but you know what? I kind of like the bones of the winter garden. It's a nice change, but definitely looking forward to getting all these planted up. We've got tons of tomatoes and cucumbers going inside the house, so that'll be fun to share starting seeds indoors with you a couple videos down the line. Do you guys remember those giant, humongous sunflowers from last summer's garden? Well, we cut down the sunflower heads, left the stalks right in the ground, and my plan is to plant some beans or climbing plants. It's like a built-in stake for that. So that's gonna be kind of fun to see as the weather warms up. Now, what we have over here is our kale salad garden. Loving this, you guys. Beautiful varieties of kale. I've got a new kale seed collection as well. And I am absolutely loving this purple kale. It's so, so beautiful. Kale grows beautiful in hot weather and in cool weather, so it's really thriving here in the winter time. So purple kale, the red Russian kale adds a nice little texture to your salads. And we've got, see right behind you here, Jerry, is the blue Scotch curled kale. These beautiful ruffly leaves. Kale is such a super power food. You've got to grow it in your garden. It's just about one of the easiest greens you can grow. And back in here is some dinosaur kale. So you can see it's getting a little bit munched on. It's not quite dinosaur size yet, but we're definitely headed that way. So plant different varieties of kale in your winter garden or in your early spring garden. You're gonna love those kale salads, and it's so, so healthy for you. One of my favorite things about the winter garden are the nasturtiums. With the rain we've had, they are just starting to spill over the stone walls. So, so pretty. Such an easy flower to grow. You guys have got to grow nasturtiums if you don't grow anything else. They don't like the frost. So if you're still under cold and you're getting snow, wait to get them planted outdoors until after your last frost date. The seeds go very easily directly in the garden beds, and when they get moisture and sunshine, oh my gosh, they grow like crazy. So the flowers are just starting to pop out here. So beautiful, these flowers. And these are nasturtiums in my Bring on the Pollinators Cool Season Flower Collection. And the cool thing about nasturtiums is they're all completely edible. The flowers, the leaves, and the seeds once the seeds drop in the garden. So spilling over the garden beds here, which is really fun. Something that Jerry and I have been loving in the garden are the bird feeders. We put these in last summer, and the birds have been coming in like crazy. And so we love to sit up on our deck and just watch the birds kind of chirp away here and enjoy the bird feeders. But one thing that they are doing is picking out seeds from some of my other containers. So I'll show you those in just a moment. But you know what? I don't have the heart to not feed them just to save my garden. So we're totally loving bringing the nature into where we are. Whew, it's getting a little bit windy. On this little hill area here are one of my favorite greens. These are mustard greens, and these are just regular green mustard greens. They're super, super tasty, just a little bit zippy, but these reseed and have just kind of grown back year after year. You can see they're just starting to bolt and flower and go to seed. They'll drop their seeds over here. Such an easy green to grow. But I've actually just kind of left some of these weeds in here just to kind of cover the garden. One thing that I like to do is just not to have bare soil, either cover it with mulch or have plants growing so it doesn't erode down the hill. And so, you know, it just kind of protects the soil a little bit more. So it's a little bit wild over here, but you know what? That's what winter's all about, right? And now one of my favorite parts, I know I already said I had a favorite part, but this one really is one of my favorites. Part of our garden right now are the passion fruit. They are just leafing out and climbing like crazy. I love this little spot right here, you guys. And the exciting thing is we have some passion fruit just about ready to harvest. So I'm hoping over the next couple of weeks we can do a passion fruit harvest video. Aren't these beautiful? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 or 10 passion fruit, and you know what? Oh my gosh, I stepped on this one. This one dropped on the ground. Let's actually take a peek inside here. I don't think it's quite right, but it's already kind of split a little bit. So I do want to see how it looks on the inside. Show you guys. Such a beautiful tropical fruit. Oh, look at those colors. It's probably going to be a little bit tart. Oh, the juice is dripping out. See that, Jerry?
Looks good.
Looks amazing. So we'll take this inside and maybe put it over a little bit of yogurt for breakfast. So as we prepare to put the warm weather vegetables in, I'll be trimming back some of the nasturtiums. These are the trailing type of nasturtiums. And what I've been doing too, so they don't trail into the pathway, is just bringing out some big old scissors out here and just kind of trimming them off at the edge. They grow back super, super fast. I know sometimes it's really hard to trim your plants, but it's worth it. And it's really not that hard to do. So let's just walk forward just a little bit here. I want to show you guys, we've had such crazy winds here the past few days that one of my tomato plants toppled over. And I thought about kind of putting it back in place so it looks perfect for you guys, but you know what? Life happens, it's just the way things go. My plants topple over too. But I have been really excited about this tomato plant because it's overwintering, growing over the winter here, and it's got some nice little red tomatoes on it. So I think those are probably, oh, definitely ready to harvest. I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull those off now. Maybe even a little bit overripe. They're kind of splitting just a tad. And one thing about this plant, it's got some spider mites right now. So I was actually just out here spraying it the other day. It definitely needs a sturdier trellis. Spraying it with the Captain Jack's dead bug spray, which really does help with the spider mites. If you've ever had spider mites before, they're teeny tiny little spiders that kind of suck the sap out of your plant. So if you notice little spotted leaves here, you can't see the spider mites, but that's usually a sign of spider mites. And if you turn the leaf over, see how there's kind of some whitish, kind of silvery things on the back of the leaves. There is a tiny little spider mite there, but I don't know if the camera will pick it up. So definitely whenever you see that kind of speckling, spotted, you want to take care of that. Either trim off the leaves, or I like the Bonite's Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew. It really helps knock them out. So we're going to get that staked up with a much sturdier trellis. A lot easier to do when you first plant it than after it falls over. But you know what? Life happens. You don't always have time to get to everything. So I am kind of changing things up in the garden a little bit just to keep things exciting, interesting. It's always fun to try something new. One thing that I did this past month is I took out 2 of the round, large smart pots that were here and replaced them with these cute little shorty raised beds. Now these are something that Smart Pots is just putting the finishing touches on. Hopefully they'll be coming out later in the spring or the summer, but I gotta show you these to you guys. I love these. They're like 3 feet long. They're bright colored. They're probably gonna be carrying them in green based on all of your good feedback over on Instagram. So in this one here, I have it covered up for a reason. This is actually carrots I planted a few weeks ago. And I have it covered because carrots need moisture in order to germinate. And the shade cloth, it really helps keep the moisture in. And I was hoping that it would protect the carrots from the birds or the squirrels, but I had some coming up here a few days ago and they're not here anymore. So evidently something got to them, unfortunately. So that's been super, super frustrating. Anything I plant, as soon as the seedlings come up, it seems like the birds or the squirrels get them. So we're definitely working on that issue. I wanted to show you guys too, the strawberry crate tower. Take a look at it. Now you might look at this and think, ooh, this thing is looking terrible. And yes, it actually is, but I'm leaving it this way for a reason. I love growing strawberries in crates. This is 1, 2, 3 crates high. They really love the drainage. And these are lined with the Smart Pots crate liners, which I absolutely love. You just cut holes in the fabric, poke the strawberries through. And the reason why it's looking so bad is because I've had so many questions about how to trim and prune strawberries. So I want to do a video on that very soon. But you do want to start now by looking around for bare root strawberries. There's lots of good sources online. In southern climates, they're starting to carry those strawberry transplants in the garden centers. But you got to get them now because they go really fast. So start planning at this time of the year and preparing for your spring garden. Just start dreaming a little bit. Think outside the box. Maybe you want to build a tower to help save yourself some more space or grow more in your little bit of space. Something that I'm really excited about in my winter garden right now is the broccoli. So I've got some beautiful broccoli plants growing here in the Smart Pots urban raised bed. This is a super easy raised bed to just pop up, fill with soil, you got a garden. It's actually on the cover of my new book, which is coming out in about a month, Raised Bed Gardening. So if you want a super easy raised bed, this is definitely the way to go. Now the broccoli back here is just starting to take off. So hopefully I get some good broccoli heads from these plants before the weather gets too warm. Would you look at that? Isn't that beautiful? This is Waltham broccoli from the Fall Garden Seed Collection. I've got, I think, 3 or 4 plants in here. So we should be getting some good harvest on that pretty soon. And look at this, you guys. Remember the video we did on growing broccoli or harvesting broccoli a month or so ago? Remember I talked about the broccoli shoots? They're already starting to come out in the little armpit here of the plant. So when you harvest the main broccoli head, it encourages growth to go into producing those side shoots so that you can keep growing broccoli for, 6 to 8 weeks after you harvest the main head. So that's pretty exciting. Very excited about the broccoli growing on here. This broccoli, guys, is purple. So plant colors that you enjoy in your garden. I gotta show this to you. Look at that color. I just love coming out here and looking at the gorgeous colors kind of blending together in the garden. So main head, side shoots, they're so, so cute. I love those. Now, because I really do enjoy bright colors, purple broccoli, I also planted some of the blue lubella, a really nice cool weather flower if you're looking for something for your southern garden. This has gorgeous purple flowers. It'll start blooming over the next several weeks. And it kind of cascades kind of gently, not a huge long trail, but just to kind of fill in this area and provide some color in here. So that'll be really fun to see over the next couple of months. More purple broccoli. And here we've got a tomato in my 10-gallon CaliKim Smart Pots and some little violas. Beautiful cool weather flower here. And I love how it kind of blends in with the Smart Pots. These are also brand new over on my website, CaliKimGardenandHome.com. Little handles, can easily move it around the garden. Now you notice here the leaves are looking a little bit crispy. Like I mentioned, we've had about 2 weeks of strong winds every day, and the winds just dry out the leaves of the plants so much. But you know what, if I get a few tomatoes off of this, I'll be happy. If not, we've got lots of new ones going in the house. So do make sure that you're following along in the First Time Gardener series. We've done grow lights, we've done how to make your own seed starting mix, and coming up soon is how to start seeds indoors. Now, if you live in a southern climate, you gotta overwinter your eggplants. This was a giant eggplant last summer, and just a few weeks ago, I pruned it back, cut it down, and it's actually already growing back some brand new leaves. So what you want to do is look for the Y in your plant here, and then cut off your branches just above that. As the weather warms up, it will start to branch out, and that way you're one jump ahead when you get to warm weather times. Now, we've got a bunch of containers over here, which is really fun, a lot of new things. This is, again, my new 10-gallon Smart Pots here, with some tatsoi. This is brand new in my specialty green seed collection. It looks a lot like bok choy, but it's just a really milder version of that. And it's an Asian green, which is super delicious in stir fries, on salads, and soups. It is absolutely so delicious. Now, I always like to give some updates here in the garden tours of videos that we've done over the past few months. And here's one we did a few months ago. Remember when we planted that garlic? Here it is popping up, you guys. So much fun. Garlic goes dormant in the wintertime in cold winter climates, but here in Southern California, it's popping up, growing, and it actually takes about 6 months after planting to harvest it. So this will be harvested in June. So if you haven't planted garlic yet in a southern climate, it's not too late. Go back and watch that video for all the details. Here we have our broccoli. We did our broccoli harvest. This one is starting to flower just a little bit, which I think looks really pretty. The bees love that. But go back and watch that video, you guys, because when we filmed that video, there were teeny little side shoots. And I told you that when you harvest a broccoli head, it sends all the energy into the side shoots. Now look at all of the side shoots. They're growing like crazy. So we'll definitely be harvesting some more broccoli from that for probably another month or so. Now over here, this one's in full-on flower production. You can eat the flowers or you can let them dry up and save the seeds. So that's going to be a lot of fun too. I do have one jalapeno plant kind of hanging on here through the winter time. Now, if you live in a southern climate and your jalapeno or your pepper plants look like this, It's not because you're doing anything wrong. Peppers love the warm weather, but they can overwinter sometimes in southern climates. And I have not had the heart to prune this back because it still has little baby jalapenos on that. Isn't that crazy, you guys? Still producing here in January. I've actually been harvesting jalapenos off of this for salsa. And I think what I'll do is just leave it in for another month or so, trim off the leaves, maybe cut it back, then it'll start to branch out as the weather warms up. Well, the winter garden is kind of fun. There's leaves everywhere from all the wind that's been blowing, and we've been doing a lot of garden cleanup. So we do have some fun new plans for this area. So do make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss any of our new spring content. But come on over here. I've got to show you guys this rosemary bush. Rosemary plant, rosemary bush, rosemary shrub, whatever you want to call it. Come on over here and let's take a closer look. Would you believe this rosemary shrub started off as a small little plant about this big about 10 years ago. So I have trimmed this back year after year. It just grows like crazy. It loves this spot. So if any of y'all want some rosemary, come on over and grab it. I'm going to be doing a pruning video very soon on it. But it is just going crazy here in the winter time. Now, one thing you can do if you don't have rosemary in your garden is you can grab a cutting from a friend. So what you do is you want to pick kind of a soft cutting. See how the stem on this is kind of a lighter color as opposed to a woody cutting. You don't want one like that. You want one like this. So just cut it off. Put it in a glass of water on your windowsill inside, and what I found, if you put a little bit of the Vermistera worm tea in it, it helps it root a little faster. It's going to take probably 2 or 3 weeks to root. Change the water every couple of days, and you will have your very own brand new free rosemary plant. A super easy way to get started. So stay tuned for that pruning video. We need to make some more space in here for our new garden project. That should be coming very soon. The winter time and the springtime is when the nasturtiums again spill over the walls here, looking super pretty. These are like dinner plate size leaves. They're humongous. They love this spot here. And behind here in the red planters, I've been planting some of the new seeds from my new specialty green seed collection. These ones again were popping up but got eaten by the birds, I think. I planted some peas. There's one popping up right here. So we're just kind of incorporating the vertical gardening here and making use of the space down here for the greens. So the red planter over here, I have one of my new varieties of kale from the kale seed collection and the specialty greens called KX Kale. You can harvest it as baby kale and it's super tender in salads, but I love how the little seedlings look. Don't those look pretty? And this is growing very, very nicely. No critters have gotten to it yet. I just love the little purple seedlings. They're so pretty. I have a lot of you southern gardeners been asking me about winter flowers or early spring flowers. You gotta grow some gerbera daisies. These are just keep on growing. I think I've had them planted in here for a couple of years now. What you do is once the flowers are spent and kind of drying up, you cut them back. I just cut this back last week and they pop up with brand new growth, and really they're perennials in southern climates and just keep on growing. So definitely a good colorful flower to have in your garden in California, Arizona, Mexico, Texas, any of those southern states. And for you northern gardeners, plant those gerbera daisies in the early spring. They'll last you all summer long. Now I've had a lot of questions. How are the blackberries doing since we pruned them? So come on up here and let me show you what's going on. Basically, nothing. Blackberries are dormant in the wintertime. So no new growth on them yet, which is perfectly fine. If your blackberries aren't leafing out, no big deal right now. But when the weather warms up, what's going to happen is we're going to see lots and lots of leafy growth, and they will start growing like crazy, sprouting up, growing those nice big long canes. So if you need to trim your blackberries, go back and watch that video. Now is definitely the time to do it. So now let's talk about hose link. Now watering with a hose has always been kind of a sticky point for me. I used to have one of those old wind-up hose reels right here. It was always really hard to pull it out and then wind the whole hose back up. It was such a pain. But I'm telling you guys, I am loving the hose link here. It swivels nicely. We've got it attached to a pole right there and it pulls out. It has nice sturdy fittings that don't leak. And I'm just going to water this container here because we've gotten, like I said, so much wind. This plant is getting really dried out. So we're just going to give it a nice little drink. And as far as your container plants go, you definitely want to water them more often than you do your in-ground garden because they dry out quicker, the water drains through, and they're just going to need drinks a whole lot more often. So with a little bit of water, this lettuce is going to be perking up in no time. For retracting, give a little tug, retracts. No more winding up that crazy manual hose. Works like a charm. Stay tuned next month. We're going to be doing a hose link giveaway. So thank you so much, Hose Link, for sponsoring this video. Can't wait for the giveaway. Hope you guys enjoyed our January garden tour. Hope it brought some warmth to your cold winter garden. Head over to CaliKimGardeningHome.com and pre-order my new book, Raised Bed Gardening. It comes out March 8th. It's going to be super fun. When you pre-order, you get $10 free on me, a $10 coupon code to CaliKimGardeningHome.com. We have 6 brand new seed collections that just launched. 30 seed collections all together to help you grow your spring gardens. Make sure you subscribe. We've got tons of great content to come. And Jerry, take us out with one more crane shot. See you on the next video, guys.